Hey guys, and welcome back to Trekyards. He's Commander Cockings. And today we are pioneering our way into a new realm as we talk about Star Trek ships for the very first time in 11 years of doing this show.
Yes, the first time looking at ships in the last 2 minutes. It's the last time we finished recording looking at a ship.
Shh, you're pulling back the curtain. Don't let them know what happens on our filming days.
TOS is what happens, though, Stuart. TOS. The 60s style, but this time, Stuart, in Star Trek Online, made many years ago now. We've looked at these in various ways over the years, but never with fresh renders to kind of, let all its blessings and sins out for us to look at. So the Pioneer. TOS done right? Question mark. Your thoughts?
I think it is TOS done right because it's got very simplistic, nice shapes that just flow together. It just works. It looks so simple here. I wish there were phaser banks, like ball turrets. It would look better with the registry, of course. But the top view of this ship is particularly just kind of blah. But it's TOS, so it still works, I think. That's
blah
my
is
initial
not,
thought.
Blah is not unacceptable as long as it's a logical blah. Yeah, obviously we looked at a few of these now, and wait for the rest of the views, but this view is very straightforward. It feels kind of fast, feels very integrated, but it's the tiny things they've done that kind of make it interesting, like having the third black ring and be extended. Like, it's a very minor detail, but it just feels different now.
And with those black rings, you can get the sense that it is, again, a little bit older of a vessel. It's even with the spikes on the nacelle. It's like from the Cage era, which was just slightly a little bit older. They upgraded the nacelles, of course, because they're not solid, but they still have the spikes, which is cool.
Because I could have made them the same as, pre. That was kind of my choice when I did the conversion here. So you could do either. Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of the spikes on the nacelle caps on the Bizarre Collectors, but to me it kind of betrays when it came from, like the 60s. You get that Buck Rogers kind of, everything's got to have like a antenna or something sticking out of it. So I'm kind of got rid of that for the Enterprise in the series, but I don't hate it. It's just not my preference to have the spikes there. I kind of like it to show that, yeah, this is probably an older design. So
Now, we'll get into other views in a second, but this view I like in that it's, if you're saying it's a little bit older, it's before they said we need the neck. The neck is, for the biggest ships, the best ships, we need the neck. So let's keep it all integrated, and how do we connect everything and kind of make it flow? And they sort of took the signal hell and just put it in the saucer, but it's smaller, feels like it's proportioned better. And I think I like the logic that the pylons aren't actually at the saucer line, as if that gives it more strength by having the center of gravity that low. If they were higher and give space and feel more tacked on, I think because they're so right there, I almost wish there's a little bit of a fill-in to the saucer, to the pylon, as if, we can't fully support them. We have to have like 5%, of hull in, 7%, right? A little bit of support.
Yeah. Yeah, I have no problem with them exactly the way they are. I know this ship has a more detailed bottom, which is a shame because this view kind of portrays it a little bit. Like there have been ships like this before in FASA that this is exactly what it is. There's nothing else on the bottom. It's just a saucer in this, which you think fast, like a Corvette kind of ship vibe to it. So, but yeah, this one gets a little bit more complicated and detailed as we go along here. So.
Next view, though, from the back, still sleekness. And I like the TOS impulse engines. I need them.
Yes. Yeah, they work really well here. I love that it's just the same as the Connie, but like split because the hull's there. That works really well. Absolutely.
Although, actually, given if it is meant to be a smaller, if that's its role, I would love to see 2 impulse engines on both sides.
Yeah. No, I agree. The other thing that sticks out here for me is the gray ring around the BC deck there under the bridge. I think that works really well. It's a nice pop of color, and it suits because of the other gray things on the saucer. I like that.
Well, it integrates the whole design into, we add grey line detailing, all the same shade, all the same colour, roughly the same vibe throughout the ship. It gives it a nice integrated feel that works well.
Yeah. Very simple though, like, and I love the simplicity of it. The shuttle bay is of course the same as the Connie, which is great. I mean, using the same parts construction wise makes a lot of sense for a fleet ship.
Something about the windows bug me though. The way they're framed around the ship. Is it too few? Is it too big? Does something in your brain say,
I thought the same thing with the front view. It just seemed like there were too few, but at the same time I didn't say anything, but I think it could use like a row of windows behind the bridge there on the way back to the struts. That would be kind of nice. Not necessary, but you think in space you'd want to have a window or two to look out of every once in a while. But then I didn't say anything when I was thinking that, because you look at the interior of the ship, and of course there's a lot of rooms that of course would not have windows, like the majority. So it's not a big deal.
It just feels a little bit disproportionate, and a lot of these things are, we know the sort of golden ratio of these things, and it's just. I mean, you could argue, we haven't seen we know there's more stuff in the secondary hull for lower, but now you've extended the back neck thing that now reads in this view as the secondary hull shapes. You needed some of those detailings at the top, not just to move the pinstripe backwards. I mean, would you have minded a top mounted warp core ejection as they had in the Connie for the bottom?
I don't know how I'd feel about that. I'm trying to picture it, and I think it might be super distracting. Like, I want to see the bottom of this to talk about it, but I like the idea of them being on the bottom.
But if space is not up or down, then it shouldn't make too much difference, right?
Well, if you're ejecting your warp core, chances are it's probably going to blow up. You don't want it blowing up above your bridge, whether it be like right above or miles above. It's shooting it down the bottom where like the planetary sensor dome is, and not more non-vital systems, you'd think. That's one thing that comes to my mind.
But also you don't want to hit the deflector, because if that goes, you're going to get hit by all the rocks in space and kill you. Yeah, the deflector's there. I mean, if it goes up, it'll hit the bottom of the deflector and destroy it, potentially, right? I mean, the bottom of the deflector is the same line as the hull, so if it hits the hull, it'll hit the deflector, and any damage to the deflector is enough to cause problems. I'm just saying, loads of critical things, right? That's a good point, but I think there's so much critical-wise that, Let's do the reveal. The bottom view.
Much more going on here, and it does feel like a tacked-on piece, but I like this take on TOS stuff where they shorten the secondary hull, or it feels like a pod, and you got some windows there. You got visible torpedo launchers, which is not something you see on TOS ships really, and I think the windows here make up for the lack of windows on the top. So there are places to go to look outside. You've also got the hull markings, like on the Connie, of the meters, or the distance, or the size of the ship, which is a nice subtle touch that brings TOS ships to life, I think. And there you got your warp core ejection thing on the bottom there, it looks like.
Woo! Yes.
So, but why is the warp core there when the struts are going into the upper part of that hull?
There's some long-ass warp core power feeds.
Yeah, it seems very, very, very dangerous. And considering,
Well, dangerous.
look at how they'd have to go up, they'd have to go back, they'd have to go up again. Just like,
they're burning a lot of interior space. But that said, it could not be there. That's just a different symbol in this version. I don't know if they necessarily thought that. Yeah, it's very odd. I kind of almost wish it was a 4 nacelle, or at least a variant, add 2 nacelles of some kind. It would look weird, but it's such a, this obviously will look weird doing this. It'll have no flow, but that in itself is its own flow, right? But to put it onto great, I really like the curved elongate. It's not phase 2. It's not TMP. It makes sense to me. I like it.
I also love when they shorten the banner on the secondary hull like that. It looks like it's so cute, but it still has the same vibe and feel.
I mean, also we looked at a few of these, and the tacked on-ness is so relative. But yeah, the way it's on, but not in the saucer, I can feel as if it just can detach in a way that the other ones didn't. So I appreciate that. Oh, they should have put the because it's now missing it, right? The lower sensor planetary dome on the bottom where the warp core direction is, and move the warp core to the top.
Or even the square element at the back there. Put the warp core ejection thing there, which would be relatively where the warp.
Anyway, that'd be easier. But I am missing the lower dome. It would look weird on the bottom of the. But give it a go, right? Give it a go.
Yeah, or even the planetary sensor dome, like where that gray square is at the back part there. Just put it there. It doesn't have to be in the center of the saucer necessarily. I don't know. There's, I like this look, but it does feel very like just stuck on, like magnetized on almost. It doesn't feel very incorporated.
But we said how integrated and sort of correct the top views were. So if this is a interchangeable pod structure, like the tug, Ptolemy, that can actually be really exciting. The saucer and the cell, like everything at the top is what you need to work. So therefore, warp core be in that zone. And now we can make 4 or 5 unique pods for the bottom bit. I could get behind that. The age-old question: does it ortho? Top and bottom.
It orthos. Not the biggest fan of the top view, if I'm honest. The bottom view I really like. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of interesting details on the bottom. I kind of like that the cells overhang the saucer,
which you're not really a fan of.
I'm not really a fan.
I'm interested why you're for it here, because I agree it does work.
Because it doesn't have the bridge module right in the goddamn middle of it. A lot of the ships where I have an issue with that is where the bridge is nestled right between the nacelles.
God, love that radiation hitting the bridge. Awesome.
I just think that this is a nice blend of getting that right. I also like the wideness of that impulse deck because it is split in two. It just looks really nice, actually.
No, that's where my eye was going to. The integration of the saucer into the curve. I'm sorry, they feel more curved almost by making them longer. The impulse units, the curve then going to that whole zone feels really nice with the grey, as we said earlier. The integration of the greys, very cohesive. Even on the bottom view, as it's somewhat more squared off feel, works for the shapes. As if you've got the curve of the top and then the square of the bottom. Don't know if I love the secondary hull from this view at the bottom. Obviously it's super small and whatnot. Probably would tweak that.
It's got a spire thing at the back as well, which is a nice touch.
It's so freaking small though.
Yeah. Also notice the warp nacelles are different than Akani, not just because of the spikes, but because of the rear parts. There's I forget what they're called offhand, but they stick up at the back, and they're on both sides of each nacelle on the Connie. Here they're only on the one side, which is, again, a neat little thing people might not notice.
And if we're saying a less advanced or earlier or less premier starship, then remove a small piece, and you get the small sense of, it's not got that feature, right? Easy. No, these work pretty well, and it's well balanced lengthwise, and yeah, works pretty well. Now the other views.
Ooh, yes.
Oh, he's in.
These all work for me.
Ooh.
That profile, that side view is phenomenally cool looking. And the front view, goddamn, I love that. That is fantastic. Back, it's all right.
It's the front, just the back, right? It makes sense. It's not really doing much different.
Yeah, I think the front, I like the aggressiveness of those torpedo tubes. I think that's something that's missing on a lot of TOS ships and will look really cool on them, but we're used to the refit and everything after kind of having visible tubes. So, but yeah, I like the side view. The way that pod is attached, it's just something, it tickles my brain in a way that I just like. And I like the spikes at the front and the back of it. Like, yeah.
I can see why they would have kept the spikes in for the... If you take the Bassards making the cage version, then the tri-spike. I see the visual language. The front view gives me Wasp.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yes,
like
thank you. I was trying to decide what that reminded me of, and you're right. Yeah,
all of those, but earlier and simpler, and yet all of that. The side view, I mean, it feels bigger than the top and bottom view of the pod. The single hull. I don't know why. I mean, any bigger would be too big, any smaller would be silly, right? It's a weird one on purpose, but I like at least the neck is more substantial than it feels from the top and bottom. I think having it feel so disconnected, and not just integrated, I like that. Obviously, you need space torpedo, which is why it's there, but that I think really helps it. And the fact that, again, previous ones we've looked at, the tube nature of the add-ons, where the tube continues throughout the entire ship. This, by having it be the secondary hull, or the shuttle base right at the back, but then the angles flow in their own way, it's not just a flat tube, really helps. Massively helps. It's weird, but it massively helps the overall feeling.
I think something that might definitely give a different look, but is not needed in my opinion. The secondary hull pod, instead of having the neck go up as quickly as it does there, to have the neck extend all the way back to where the scoop is in the back of the secondary hull would give it a very cool profile as well. But I kind of like this as well, but I would like to see that option to have that, because I think you could add 1 or 2 more windows in there and whatever.
Add the docking port from TMP.
Yeah.
Right.
And the impulse engines, I totally agree with what you said earlier. 2 on each side would be phenomenally cool in this view.
And not long ones, 2 individuals.
Yeah.
Because that would tell us all we need to know, which is this thing is designed to go. And now the maybe aggressive view.
You know what this reminds me of is when you ever do like a show me a Connie in AI, and it shows this kind of view, but the secondary hull is always visible. It's for some reason when it wouldn't be.
It's an optical illusion, Connie. You're right. Yeah, because everything's kind of where it should be, and yet entirely not. Yeah, that's weird. Back view, then some more the details. Impulse engine. I do like the weird grilling on the impulse deck. The detailing is nice. Do you wish there was an actual secondary deflector at the back, or is the single thing work absolutely fine?
I like the single thing. I want to know what it is and what it does.
That's fair.
Whereas like the Federation class, you got the rear dish, which everybody said, why you need a deflector on the back. It's not a deflector. It's a long range communications array. This could also be that. Just they took out the dish part.
I could almost though have seen. It wouldn't make too much sense, but had there been a set of torpedo launchers in there?
Yeah.
Which is weird because the neck is literally where the launchers are, but if there was 4 tubes, they were done differently slightly, like like with a tactical pod, as much as it doesn't need. I don't know.
Yeah,
it'd make a statement, right?
Yeah, I kind of wish that the windows on the secondary hull were a tad bit smaller. But again, it's showing sense of scale. But well, until you look at the other views where you see the saucer and like the BC deck, and they're much smaller windows. But it's just having a regular window compared to a porthole window, right? So.
And the next view is a fun sort of top. Looks fast. Yeah, I'm a fan.
Feels like a lot of kit bashed models I've seen over the years of different configurations, but the same type of thing. Just cut the stretch shorter, put them into the saucer. I even made one myself where it's like a TOS Miranda. But yeah, it works because TOS and kit bash go together very well if you do it right.
Yeah, and there's that absolutely fine line with all these era ships. It needs to be a reason for its difference, but also a reason to exist. Because you wouldn't just see a Connie, except Saturn, or it's like really there shouldn't just be a Connie and a saucer with a 1 and a cell. It's like you're losing a lot of those things. There has to be some other reason for A and B and C to exist. So adding things like torpedo launcher in the neck, bigger shuttle bay, like these things work. But this has enough small things to kind of give it its own feel while still being a fleet-based, and does not outshine the Connie, which still has a real presence. It felt a bit the big daddy compared to this, which is so important.
As it should, yeah. But anyway, guys, comment down below what you think about this design, whether you have this ship in STO. What do you think of our thoughts on it? That's what the comment section is for. We love hearing from you guys, even if it's on a live, and we do a lot of those. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel and click the notification bell icon so you don't miss those, because we want to hang out with you guys and just have fun talking Star Trek.
Yeah, ships, tech, characters, creatures, episodes, other sci-fis. It's what we do on the lives. We love your integration of your thoughts, your comments, your super chats. Help us go, of course. But if you want to support us on a more regular basis, Patreon and join the channel on YouTube. Both are monthly. From the smallest amount to the biggest amount, it all goes a very long way. Or PayPal, trekyards@hotmail.com. Or as you said, subscribe, like, comment, and feed the algorithm. Just commenting, right? Say,
Yeah.
I've used the ship in stow. That would help us too.
So do your part for the Trekyards community.
Yes.
Anyway, until next time, he's Commander Coggins.
He's got a Foley.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.